Welcome to the OTP podcast, where we bring you uncensored and unfiltered football chat. I'm your host, O, joined by my co-host, Chinny. How you feeling today, bro?
Right, man. It's been a tough 2 weeks for Arsenal. I know we spoke last week about it, and I thought it was... Now, you know what? I wasn't too confident about it, actually, when we spoke about it last week, but it's got even worse. Well, it's got better and worse, but yeah, I guess we'll get into it. It's just a hard one.
Speaking like all Arsenal fans now, isn't it? It's because he said we'll talk. I was about to go straight into it, but I wanted to just let everyone know that the other co-host, Mr. White, couldn't make it today. So, but he'll be missed, but he'll be here on the next show. So I say we go straight into it. All right. So I enjoyed this toothless Arsenal slip up to Liverpool at the Emirates in their own backyard. I will let you start, Ginny. I will let you start.
I said, man, what a 2 weeks it's been. And it's funny because I feel like two of our better performances in recent weeks have been against you guys. So they've been against Liverpool, and we haven't come out with a dub on any of them. It hurts, man. It hurts. Like the Anfield one, I take the draw. Obviously, a league game, different circumstances. You take the point away at Anfield probably majority of the time. But the FA Cup one, just gone. That was a sucker punch, man. Sucker punch for most Arsenal fans, even if we were expecting to lose or not expecting to like come away with a victory. But I feel like we had it all. Like first half was obviously amazing. You guys are missing Salah. You're missing VVD. Arsenal fans licking their lips saying, yo, we have a chance to get at them today. And that's what we did. And then it just kind of went downhill, man. It slipped up, and maybe we can get into a bit more like the tactical analysis on it. But just from a broad outlook, it just hurt a bit. It really hurt because the performance deserved more. But how many times do we say that with Arsenal?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think it's one of those games where I agree with you. It was your two best games against us. We went down early, and we could have went down early again in the FA Cup as well. I think you guys played well, but again, there's a lot of questions to be asked on we the same again. And I always talk about us being in this position a few years ago or before about who comes off the bench. Do they make we're talking about this actually the other day as well in the last encounter. We can take bring Nunes off the bench or Gakpo or Jota, and it's like, who do you guys bring off the bench that's going to make the difference? And I was being obviously I'm biased. I'm a Liverpool fan, but I think neutrals were saying a lot of I think Kai Havertz needs to start top. You saw, I think he played well. There were a lot of opportunities you guys had to score. You guys could have put that game to bed in the first half. It was I don't know if I can say it was a game of two halves, because I think although we played better in the second half, I think it was still for long periods of time it was yours. Only until we had we ricocheted off the crossbar, and then we started playing. But one thing that McAllister said in that game is he said he didn't realize that you guys set up. It took them a while to restructure because you guys set up in a player versus player setup. Yeah,
we had it player v player. It was like a box shape. Funny enough, I've actually played myself in a box shape, and it's really hard for teams' defense and midfield to pick up where the players are going to move and what positions that box is about to press and then how to press. It's about obviously creating a space and different players coming into that space and being able to move it. And they played it real effectively. We were able to press you very high up. Obviously, you don't have a super press resistant person in Trent who can then hit it long, and that can break any press. But in the first half, we broke your press 5-6 times. Not only broke it by just winning the ball back, but we broke it and created chances. Good chances that should have been converted. Some of them should have obviously turned out to be more of like a better shot on target because they were a bit tame. Obviously, there were players that were off, but yeah, like we had a great setup. Team knew what they was doing. They were pressing together. And they were really aggressive with it. Obviously, it helped that VVD was out. Mo Salah wasn't there for that over the top. But Mr. Y's not here today. But I remember earlier in the season, he was talking about Klopp not being able to have, he's not very good with his tactical in-game changes. So to be fair to him, he commented on it in our group chat about his tactical change during the Arsenal game where he moved Núñez from playing down the middle because Saliba was controlling him and he moved him out wide.
Controlling?
He was controlling. You got your pace and you got your P&P out wide, and in the second half that changed everything. Absolutely changed everything, and it was a great tactical switch, but the game should have been outside. Havertz has 5 shots alone in the first half by himself. Yeah. I don't know what to even start with the individual performances.
I think one of the things for me was again, we was able to adapt quite well. I can't say quickly because it took a whole half for us to adapt, but there were some moments where again Konate and they made some huge saves or blocks or whatnot, and Alisson made some saves. I feel like it's one of those games that could have easily been like 2-0, 3-0 first half because we just couldn't keep up. And it's thing we missed. I think we missed Dominic in the middle as well. Someone who just is an engine who just doesn't stop running as well.
Yeah.
I think again, not having no Salah, Van Dijk not playing. I think I agree, it was a huge opportunity. I think tactically you guys set up very well. And again, I said it in the last stream we had, is you guys ain't playing bad. I think your response was, and I have to agree, was you don't have a killer like Salah who will come or play and just kill off the game. And
I think what Arsenal fans are getting mistaken for what I see on Twitter and stuff is, every team would like a killer, like a number 9 killer, like someone that just breeds goal scoring, and that's fair enough. But at the same time, there's different types of players that can win you games can win you games. So, for instance, Man City were winning games without a killer. Before they got Haaland, they were winning games without a killer, purely because the amount of good quality chances they were creating. So they had Jesus, and Jesus would miss, but the amount of good quality chances that you do create, it is nearly impossible because we didn't score against you. So obviously, clearly, it is possible not to score. But more times than not, you will score from creating a vast amount of good quality chances. But you need other players that can affect the game. So obviously, City have they're De Bruyne, you have Trent. Then you need your backline to keep them out as well. And then you need your structure to just keep going and pounding on the back door. But excuse me, but you got to pound on that back door, and you got to do it until the gates open, didn't it? But it died out in the second half. Saka wasn't at his best form. I thought Reece Nelson was really good, and I don't think he got a big enough mention. I thought he gave Trent a hard time with his running. He didn't stay out wide and give it the typical Martinelli winger. He was very inverted as a winger, but making runs from out to in, and I thought they caused a big problem.
Oh, we got caught by that a few times, didn't we?
Yeah, and he should have scored from it. So there are many positives, and I left that game obviously angry as a fan, but not too displeased with the performance, because we spoke about it on the last show, or maybe we spoke about it in the chat. But when you're performing badly, not creating chances, not creating these openings and stuff, and then you're drawing and losing, it's hard to see what's next. Like, what do we need to do? But when you're playing well and you are creating these chances and stuff, the one thing that you need to do is just to go and score a goal. You need to score goals. And once you score one, you score two, the team gets confidence. It's not just about having one killer. Last year, we had different players scoring 10, 15 goals each. And that's just down to confidence. The more you play, the more goals you score, the better you feel. That's just how that's going to happen. But it does help to have someone that just breathes putting the ball in the back of the net. So
yeah, no, it's true, and I feel like when I thought, I was like, yeah, obviously, I think we'll win 1-0, but it's going to be a difficult game. It could be one of those games where we should win, but you guys, the power of being away, you guys been in Emirates and whatnot. I don't think we played well, particularly in the first half. I don't think we played well in the first 10 minutes of the second half. I think we was growing into that game, and when we was able to, when Klopp made that tactical change into, okay, this is how we're playing, this is how they're playing, this is how we're going to do it. It was a little bit took us too long to respond to or realize that it was a man for man. And again, your press was, I was impressed with your press from the start. We made a lot of mistakes, but again, the word that you like to say is that how long is that sustainable? How long can you do that for? You remember we used to blow teams out in the first 30 minutes. We still do now. Then we used to back off, and if you don't concede within the first 30 minutes, it'd be like, okay, what's happening with Liverpool? And I feel like I saw Trent get the ball and run across 3 attackers and his own 2 defenders, and then just hoof the ball down. And I was like, how is that possible? What happened to that press? Because we weren't doing that in the beginning, because you guys was pressing us. We couldn't get out, so we was making our own mistakes. We're just trying to go long. So that's when I realized, okay, I can see Arsenal running out of steam a little bit. They're running out of ideas. It's time to go. And then obviously bringing on two kids that came on that were
well done for that, boy, because I know you didn't have too much of a choice. Like, you brought on your 2 senior players first, obviously, which is just the norm. But then you're still chasing the game, or you're trying to win the game, and you bring on the 2 young players that obviously been in first team training and stuff, so they know the guys. But coming away to Emirates in the FA Cup game, where the game is pretty even, you're playing against other top players. And they played well, both of them. Come on directly up against Martinelli. Definitely not the easiest of things to do. Done really well. I think I read today that Trent gave him a bit of advice on how Martinelli plays. Obviously coming up.
I knew that. I can see the sweat. Yes, he does get.
And so do you know what's funny? Because when Martinelli did come on, he cooked Trent like 2-3 times fast. Took him line like 2-3 times. And Klopp made that decision to add another defender there and move Trent kind of DM, but be able to cover once Martinelli comes in so quick, because that was going to cause a big issue. And it was another good change by Klopp, and a brave one, because who knows what could have happened to the young players, and whether Martinelli skipped this one. And
I know there's a lot of Liverpool fans. I was like, oh my god, they would understand the sub, but it was like, oh my god, like, because I watched them play sometimes. I'm like, okay, I don't know if they're ready to make that step yet. But after getting some good time and whatnot, I saw an improvement. And obviously with Trent being injured currently, they obviously will get his chance. But I do want to shout out Bradley and Klopp, because
I think that even making them changes hurt Arsenal fans even more, because recent weeks Arsenal fans have been crying out for us to use our young players, Miles Lewis, Nwaneri. We had Sousa on the bench. We recently obviously had the SIP game in the Champions League when we was already qualified, where we could have brought them on against PSV away, and we didn't. So Arteta's been being called out for doing these things, and he maybe had the chance to do it. But I think given the fact of the run that we're on, I don't think he wants to throw them in there in that pressure situation. But the first team are also not doing it. So it's a bit hard to give reason for these young players not playing when the first team players are playing and still not doing it. So I do kind of understand where Arsenal fans are coming from. But everything's rewarded on merit. And I doubt Klopp would be throwing players in if they weren't doing what they need to do in training.
Facts. And
when you're ready, you're ready. And to play under a manager like Klopp in that system, you've definitely got to be ready.
I
So
definitely agree. I definitely agree. I think even just touch on, I did see a lot of your fans giving stick. Firstly, I'm gonna go back to the fact that I was watching AFC TV guy talking about interns and all of that. I'm gonna start laughing because it's exactly what your fans have been getting onto your manager about, was not playing your interns, which obviously they're kids. They've been in induction in the first team. They've been training with the first team. They've earned it. So they, with some merit, they earned it. But I even I'm not sure if it was fake news or whatnot, but I saw one of your ex-players' brother saying this is why my brother left, because
Amari Hutchinson.
was it Omar Hudson? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So it's crazy to think like, and I thought the same thing in that Champions League game where it meant nothing, and I didn't see why you didn't do it. And then again,
Yeah, I got that, and I had an argument with someone on Twitter about this. A long argument. A couple of people piping in. Yeah, because I was really going in there. I was there doing finger warrior. I was doing the warrior.
man got lured into somebody with probably no face.
I'm talking to me about for me, when you're a young player coming through a first team, I get that there's dead rubber games in it. The outcome of the game doesn't really mean anything and doesn't change anything. So it's like, why don't you play these players? But I've seen far too many players that have played for Arsenal, played for national teams and stuff, and come and played one game and got that cap, that little exclusivity of I played for the first team, and then been absolutely nothing.
True.
For me, it's like when you're ready, you're ready. And if you're not ready to play certain games and certain circumstances, why am I throwing you in there just because? Like earning a cap or an appearance for any club, national, country, first team is a big thing, no matter what level you're playing at. When you're at that, if you're playing at non-league and you're 16, your club's in not, but you're playing under 16, and then your club's at non-league first team level and you want to play for their first team, they're not throwing you in there just because. They're throwing you in there because you can play with them. So when you're ready to go. So I don't really see the argument. We could throw Sousa in the first team and he can get an appearance, and then he could never play for us again.
True. Yeah, that's true. I never thought about it that way, to be fair.
Like,
I just thought about giving them a chance.
Like, everyone goes on about these youth team players. Obviously, they're hyped up. There's YouTube. There's this. They're playing for listen, when they're ready, they will be ready.
No, I agree. I like that. I agree. I never saw it. I always saw it as like, FM mentality. Play it. Go this way.
He's gonna get this experience, and he's gonna automatically be a wonder kid. No, bro. That some of it can break it, and some of it you're just not gonna be good enough to play for Arsenal first team. We don't know yet, but I've seen many players that don't deserve to play for Arsenal first team play for Arsenal first team. So when you're ready to play, I'm sure you will play.
No, I hear that. And then you gotta trust the manager's done that for a reason. He hasn't seen, or he or she hasn't seen the level that is required. Like you said, playing for a team like Liverpool under Jurgen is the level of running alone. You got then be able to tackle, pass, everything is crazy. There's a high expectation. So that was. I thought we got lucky. We escaped. You guys are out. Cool, haha, whatever. Let's move. But my thing is, what's next for Arsenal? Like, do you guys then see yourself as like, is this a panic now? Or is this a no? Because right before you guys top of the league, it was obviously, I always look at Twitter and so I look at what your fans say. I know people hate this. I had this all the time. Oh, I didn't say that's what fans say. But obviously, I take it into account. So I'm a fan saying, machine for machine. Saka world class. Saka's nothing. Saka can't do that. Salah can't do. He needs rest. Then it was this and whatnot. And I remember you guys saying, actually, if you want to be considering those arguments, you've got to stay consistent. So that's your job. So is it panic stations at Arsenal, or is it?
I'm not a reactionary fan. I'm not a reactionary fan over time. Maybe at that specific moment in my own head, or when I'm shouting at the TV, or I'm shouting when I'm at the game, a bit reactionary. But once you think about it and you look deep into everything, yeah, we've had a few bad performances, but we're still in a position to be able to challenge for stuff and to improve. Sometimes it's not the improvement that all the fans want, because obviously we want to win We want to win. We want to win silverware, not just games. We want to win trophies, big trophies. And when you're going out of competitions, Carabao Cup, the FA Cup trophies that you can win, and then you're dropping from first to fourth in the space of a week, it demoralizes the fans, it demoralizes the players. But there have been some good performances in there, and there's things that we can work on. And yeah, they're not going to get everything right. The players are not going to get everything right on the pitch. The manager's not going to get everything right. The club's not going to get everything right. It's their job to do the best that they can. But nothing in this world becomes perfect. But there's certain aspects of business that will allow them to for it to be easier. Like some other managers may have it easier, and other clubs may have it easier due to facilities, finances, crop of youth play, like all that good stuff. But we're just gonna have to work with what we got. Hopefully, the purse strings are not as tight as what's being tightened around. But what Arteta's got right now, his disposal, is what he's got, and it needs to be used better than what it's being used. And what I saw against Liverpool was us actually using the players that he's got to a better potential. Like, he stopped putting squares and circles, and he started moving players around to make the team a bit more dynamic and a bit more like the team cohesion was a bit better. The press was better. We had a target man. We had players playing off habits. Yeah, we didn't convert any of these chances, but it showed that we can play in a certain way, and we can put players in positions that make us our tactical approach to games a bit better. So for me, Havertz is best as a 9. Whether he's a 9 that's going to score you 25 goals, no. And you can get better target men and players to play off, like Oshie, like the players that we're linked off, that will then score goals as well. But with what we have at the club and how it works, it can work. But the other players need to start contributing too. It's very unlikely for a club to go through what we've got. Like, all our front players are off target right now. It's not like Saka's just missing. Martinelli's missing for 5 games. All our players are missing right now in front of goal. And that can't happen for too much longer, because when does that happen? It's near enough impossible. No matter who you're joking about, whether it be Modric at Chelsea, they will eventually score. And then it builds confidence and they start playing. They get a run of games. And that's just how it goes. So I'm not too reactionary right now. We're 4th. We're still in touch and distance. Qualified top of our Champions League group, still in there. Got a favourable tie, I'd say. Obviously, it's a bit harder to navigate being our 3rd season back in it. A fresh manager, young players, so it'll be a bit harder to navigate. But I think we should be confident. He might be able to strengthen in January, but I think we definitely need reinforcements. We may need a centre back, but it's unrealistic for us to go and say, "Well, why don't you go get Tony for 100 mil? Why don't you go get Osh in January?" One, because teams don't want to sell their best players in January, and 2, because last year, you see Arsenal's biggest issue right now is not if we can find someone to score goals, because someone will score goals to win us games. It's whether we can stop the other team from scoring goals consistently. Because
I thought you guys were great. You had the best centre back.
Yeah, we do. Well, no, I mean, we got Saliba in it, and Gabriel's there too.
Been amazing.
Gabriel is that beat a man up, and Saliba's the one that looks nice. But Saliba will also rough you up as well, but he'll make it look elegant. He's like the Roger Federer of centre backs. Do you get me? And yeah, he's like the Roger Federer of centre backs. He's looking real nice. But the problem last year was that we lost Saliba. That can happen again. We lose Saliba now. Obviously, last year we lost Saliba and Tomiyasu at the same time, which hurt even more. But we lose Saliba again. We're in the same predicament. We need another player of that ilk. Obviously, we're linked with like Diamonde. who is my number one preference. The type of build, the type of player, the type of the age, everything about him screams, let's go and get him. The price, but whether we'll do it or not, I know other teams are interested, and it's a bit of a hard one.
So what if you had to pick your key areas where you'd want to
where I would want Arsenal to strengthen?
Yeah, to strengthen, what would it be?
Well, first of all, I'd go and get Diomande, so centre back is my first choice. That'd be my number one person to get. And next, it would. I'm starting to realize more and more that availability is one of the best traits to have.
This is one of the reasons why we spoke about his biggest strength being. I'm gonna big up to Thiago's father because he's the one that actually used to always say that, and I just stole it off him. His availability was one of the was his biggest strength.
Yeah, so Thomas Partey, amazing player. He can do things from the position that he plays that other players in his position can't do, which makes it even better. But his availability, it just doesn't make sense. When he plays, it makes us great, but it just means that when he doesn't play, you can see that how big the gap is even more. So we need another CM, I'd say, because our team looks so much more balanced when Jorginho played against you guys. One, because of his ball retention, but two, because he's a natural CM. Havertz is obviously learning the role, and he's a different type of player anyway, a more forward-thinking player. And Jorginho came in and made our team look more balanced. The only problem is he has no legs. So having no legs against certain teams, that can cause a major issue. So I'd say another CM, and then obviously we need some more pace. Pace and power in the front line is very important. We've only really got one player with super pace in Martinelli, and when he's not playing, I find it watching the game is very sometimes a bit boring, if I'm honest, because I like the whole controlling game and being able to dictate how you want to move the ball and where you want the other team's players to move based on how you're moving. But sometimes that in behind run, majority of the time, the in behind run is the thing that defenders hate most. Having to turn around, but then actually having to turn around and know that I'm not going to catch the person that I'm chasing is a very scary thought. And I think we are missing another player of that ilk. And Mr. Y is number one advocate for that. And I understand, I can name a few positions that we can upgrade on, but I'm very realistic to the type of player that we need. So we need a super pacey winger that has a finishing ability or ability in the final third to create or score. But the players that you want to escalate our team right now are not available in January. We can't go and slap 100 M's on Leao. We can't go and get Williams from Bilbao in January because they're not letting him. They've got their own ambitions. And are they going to be able to replace them at the same time? So sometimes you're left with the next best thing. And sometimes that's a loan. And even then, other teams need to sort themselves out. So January was a really hard window to deal with. We're not Chelsea. We're not Man City. We can't just throw and hope. So if I'm being realistic, I'd see Arsenal signing a centre midfielder and a centre back, or a centre back that may be able to play in another fullback position because Arteta likes this versatility thing.
Yes, a centre mid that plays for Everton, yeah.
Yeah, we could talk about that in a second, but yeah, so maybe a CM and a centre back would probably be a decent transfer window and a realistic transfer window. Obviously, you can always get better if you sign the world beaters, but how realistic is that? Even though we want it, and you could try and push it, and that could elevate our season into trying to actually push harder for a league that's clearly there to be won. Champions League is obviously a massive stroke of luck sometimes, but yeah, man, there's different ways to navigate January transfer window.
I think that's one of the things, though. I've said this a long time ago. I said this like at the start. Like I said, availability is huge. The squad, like you've got to have the squad to go and compete. Like, and I always said I don't feel like you've got the squad yet. You've got some good players, you've got a good starting 11, and that's just, you know, them 2 additions off the bench that can come on or that's always available to fit and can do a role. Those players are huge. And then you think, okay, maybe Trossard or whatever, but I don't know. I do agree with you though. I do think centre back and a centre mid is, and I feel the same for us. I think we need a centre back, a ball playing centre back. You know, it's comfortable in the air, but also comfortable at taking the ball down and being comfortable enough to even rest Van Dijk, because Van Dijk doesn't really get rested. Even though he's come back from injury, he doesn't really get rested. And then we need a 6, an out-and-out, ball-winning 6. Not somebody who, Endo's came good, and I think he's a decent player, but not somebody who, I think I said this on the 3rd pod we did. I think the difference between like an Endo and a Fabinho or like a Rice or whatever, I know he's not 6'6", but, you know, example is Fabinho would win the ball and start play. So he's made that tackle, he's won the ball, he's made the pass off. Endo, to me, he's very much, I'm gonna kick at you, I'm erratic, I'm gonna try win that ball. And I feel like that's the difference, because you're either gonna tackle you and it's gonna go to somebody, or he's like gonna intercept, or he's gonna get a foul. And that's
he's not a forward. So once he wins the ball, he doesn't think forward. That's a very big, like, Arsenal fans complain about it on Twitter all the time, obviously saying that Thomas Partey is better at passing the ball through the lines than Declan Rice. I don't personally 100% think that's true. I don't think he's better at it. I think he takes more risk, which we notice as fans watching the game.
Yeah.
So he takes that risky pass that then puts us on the transition quicker than Rice does.
Yeah.
These are the same fans that would then be like, oh my God, we look so much more solid and we're not vulnerable to transitions now. And that's because we're not forcing that ball forward that fast. So It's hard. You can't really do both. If I force the ball forward fast and then I lose it, then we get caught in the transition. Then you're saying, oh, we get caught in the transition. But if I don't lose it and it goes forward, obviously we get opportunity. Risk and reward, in it. So it depends where you want to risk it and what you want the reward to be. Are you happy with it, us being a more defensive unit, or do you want us to go and just be more open? You'll never win. Fans will you will never win. But I get it, because I Thomas Partey moving the ball forward fast, because I like seeing attacking flow in football. But I love Declan Rice too, so I won't complain about what he brings to the team.
Yeah, I think that's one thing you've noticed. Like, Declan Rice was getting the ball and he was trying to make that forward pass. But I think as he's like winning the ball, he's kind of like being a bit more, you know, articulate with his passes and where he wants to pass. And he's thinking, because I'm thinking he just tracked all the way back. You know, you do back in the day, you track all the way back. You've tackled 2 players, and you're like, okay, I'm making that sideways pass because I'm not going forward.
Yeah, he's like, I'm set. Let me settle the game now.
Yeah. Let me just calm it. And I do agree, and I think that's the difference. So I think that's a good idea personally, and that's what I mean when I talk about the difference between Endo and Fabinho. Fabinho, ball winner. He'll make that pass when Endo's not bad, but when he gets the ball into play and he's in there, he can make a pass. But when it comes to him breaking up play, and I think that's one thing that is the difference. Not saying it's a bad thing, but you know the difference. Between a defensive midfielder and a ball winner.
Yeah.
I think that's the difference there, where, you know, one person will win the ball, and that's all they're meant to do. Just nibble, just create a headache for attackers. You know, try win the ball. Another one is just defensive, and then pass out. Other one just defensive midfielder. He just wants to be. He just goes there, sit in front and protect. Nibble, like, you're not getting an easy shot. I'm trying to block everything. I'm making sure I'm in front and I can do a 5-yard pass. And I think that's what we miss a lot of the time. And I guess that's why the invert of Trent helps because he gets that pull. It's like possible to Trent, and then Trent pings it or he does whatever. So it's working and it's clicked a little bit more. I still think we're very vulnerable because I think what saved us is that obviously Alisson, the fewest goals conceded, but also that we're getting a better version of Virgil and a better version of Gomez, who's been great. He's been left back
since he's come in that game, left back, top quality.
Yeah, and he's played everywhere. Right back, left back, centre back.
Special shout out to him because he's had Saka twice. Even though Saka should have scored against you guys on the weekend and stuff, but he's had Saka twice in the space of 2 weeks. So his performance is up and down. He's been very, very good. Yeah. He looks like he's getting back to his better performances.
Yeah, so confidence is huge as well. I think it's one of the things, and that's one thing I love about, and that's like, again, we have this Robbo versus Tsimikas conversation, and no way in form will ever anyone tell me the Greek Scouser should be signed over at Robbo. I don't care if Robbo has a bad game, because I just feel like you ain't getting past Robbo. He might not put the best cross in and whatnot, but you ain't getting past Robbo. And I feel like that's what you get when Gomez plays in left back or right back. You might not get the star-studded pass, but he's a wall. Like, he's another centre back, and it's great to have there. Plus, all them.
He's a centre back that he's agile. He has movement.
Yeah.
He's not like a base centre back. Like, he can react. He can turn around. And he can move with the ball and without the ball. So that makes it a lot easier to slot in the wide positions. Positions. Yeah, and obviously because he's a centre back, winning his headers at the back post and getting in that position is obviously one of his best attributes. But we have a tweet that I've just seen from Gunner49. Come on, you gooners. Clearly, it's an Arsenal fan.
So we'll leave this.
Yeah, he just said enough talk about who we should buy. Focus on how poor Edu is at selling and how badly the board are costing us in this department.
Ooh, we had a conversation last time. Remember, he was talking about who's to blame. I'm blaming Edu. You can't. It's collective. I'm blaming the manager.
I'm saying we're holding players and playing hardball for players like Eddie, Emil Smith-Rowe, Nene, Partey, Cedric, and their value is just going down, and we need to move them on quicker. To be fair, I understand. There's some players that I didn't understand that we kept. But like the El Nene, I know that he can be a decent squad player. Obviously, he was injured the majority of last season and the beginning of this, but he's not equipped for our team and what we're trying to build. But Arsenal being the club we are, I feel like showed a good, done the thing that's morally right, I think, and kept him because he was actually running out of contract when he was injured as well. And gave him another year's contract so he can more or less see out his rehabilitation. And that's why we've kept him. I don't think we signed him for 5 million when we actually did sign him. So getting a fee for him is not the biggest. We won't take a big W or L with someone like Onene. Partey was probably the biggest if for me in the summer, as in, should we get rid of him or should we keep him? Because we know how integral he is and how much of a good player he is to us, but his availability was very poor. So for me, I would have got rid of him, but they gambled and kept him, and that gamble failed to pay off because he then got injured again. Eddie, obviously, he's not good enough for Arsenal's ambitions, or let's say for the fans' ambitions of what Arsenal want, because who knows what the internal ambitions are at Arsenal. But for the fans' ambitions and what we want, and that's to win the Premier League, to win the Champions League, to win the FA Cup, you can't have a player like Eddie. You can have a player like Eddie when you have a first team, when your number one striker is Haaland. You can't have a second striker like Eddie when your main striker also doesn't score goals. And that's the biggest issue for me, because we don't get the goals that we want from Jesus. So when we play Eddie, it's like, you have to, that's your only job, go and score goals, because our other guy doesn't give us that. And that's if he played for a different, like a Man City, when you have Haaland that's just scoring so many goals, you don't rely on your second, Alvarez. If Alvarez doesn't score in the game, Man City don't care. One, because they have other goal scorers, but two, because their main man is their main man. He just does the job. So I get, but yeah, Eddie needs to offload as well. He does need to go. If we could sell him in January and use them funds to bring in someone, that would make a lot of sense to me.
I think he'll suit like a Brentford or.
He's been linked to Brentford, Palace, West Ham, and I think that would be a good move for him. Obviously, they're all London clubs as well.
Yeah.
So that would help moving in January, and it'll give us a nice bit of money to work with, so we can go and get another attacker that's going to help us. So then you can actually replace his space with like a young forward-thinking player from our youth team that might get a bit more game time, because Eddie's gone past that youth given time level now. And then you go and buy someone that can actually play for our first team now also.
So we spoke a little bit about this before, but I thought it'd be good for a quick convo on this stream. Your goalkeeper situation. What are you guys saying? Do you think obviously you no one, we had Scorch on here before talking about we don't need a number, you only need a number one, and the backup number two is not have to be as good. So we had this conversation on one of our podcasts before, and it still is crazy to me that you've still got like that you have two really good, well, considered as really good. You know that first team number one is in your team. Yeah, two first team goalkeepers. So obviously it's not working out to the way you guys thought it would have worked out. Or
I don't see an issue with having two good goalkeepers. I don't see an issue with it, because theoretically you want two good players in every position if you can. So, I mean, there's a lot of talk about this player is not going to be comfortable. Listen, if you're at any job in the world and you're comfortable, you're probably not doing as good a job as you should be doing. So,
I hear that.
In that way, it makes sense that you have two players that I don't know if I'm going to start, because this guy is just as good, maybe better than me. And if I'm not showing that I'm good, then I'm pissed. Ramsdale last year was having the time of his life. He had Turner just chilling.
I hear that.
But I also get the other point of view that maybe your defense wants to know who's always going to be behind them and what their best traits are and how they play and the best way to use them. So it kind of unsettle teams, and it kind of unsettle team morale, because obviously Ramsdale has been at Arsenal for a couple of years now, and he's very liked in the dressing room, and he has there's obviously friends and all that good stuff. So that may unsettle other people in the dressing room. But me personally, I don't give a damn. Whoever's playing better starts the game.
So what would be your option? What would be, you have the option to have Sam Rare now at the end of the season. What are you thinking? Are you thinking?
I think that's one of the biggest issues is the fact that the amount of money we're gonna go sign a goalkeeper for is the biggest problem. If we would have signed Raya of that quality, like a keeper of Raya's quality, for like a £10 million, that is change. But you're gonna go sign another goalkeeper, which is not a position that we're dying for. We wasn't dying for another keeper.
It was random. It was a weird signing for me.
Well, it's not right. We've been linked with him for the last 2 years. And Arteta actually wanted him before Ramsdale, but he wasn't available. So it's definitely an Arteta signing. He's been wanting him. That's not even questionable. But when you're going to sign a goalkeeper for 30 million, when clearly our priorities needed to be in other positions, that is the biggest problem that I think Arsenal fans have. Not the fact of, oh, Ramsdale should be playing, oh, Raya should be playing, whatever. It's the fact that 30 million that we're about to go splash on Raya, maybe this month, that we're going to pay for, we could have put that towards another player. We need a winger. We need a striker. We need a midfielder. We need a centre-back. But instead, we're out here using that money on Raya, and he's not even been the most convincing. So it's hard. It's hard to like the transfer when that transfer is hurting us at the same time.
Yeah, no, I hear that. Like, I think we got like I don't think our Keller is a great goalkeeper, but he'll come in and do a job. Like, he's good with the ball at his feet. After he gets a few games, he's cool. But obviously, when you got Allison, who I think the difference between class team him and the rest of this is crazy. What we spoke about before is different. But I just think it's again, that's my point. It wasn't a focus point that had to be done then, and now and then it took a huge focus point over the first month or so. Then it was like, oh, it's working, everything's dandy dory, and everything's great. And then, you know, you started seeing some similarities or some issues, or or they gave me opposite vibes. Like what he was strong at, he was weak at. What he was
exactly. But there's one comparison I can make it. So you know, Courtois. It's a hard comparison, but it will become similar.
It's gonna land, yeah. What you're saying?
Courtois, yeah, something like that. I'm hoping I'm gonna land. But Courtois obviously got a massive injury for Real Madrid at the start of the season, and he's been out. He's only just back training. Like he's just started training on the grass again, and he's back. Real Madrid are obviously in panic stations. They signed Chelsea's goalkeeper, Spanish goalkeeper, that Chelsea bought for like 72 million or something at the time.
Yeah, Kepa.
So yeah, Kepa. So now they've got two goalkeepers that are first team quality. Now Courtois back. Will Real Madrid go and spend money on making that deal permanent and then having two number one keepers? Or will they just say, oh, you know what, Keps, thanks for your hard work. We got Courtois. I mean, we got Kepa back now. You can go back to Chelsea because we don't need you.
Mm.
That would be obviously the right thing to do for me personally. But then if they go and sign Kepa on a permanent, what are we going to say? Real Madrid are wrong too. Everyone's wrong.
I'm going to say Real Madrid wrong.
Yeah, because of the amount of money that you have to do it for. But if it's not an expensive amount of money, it doesn't hurt them. For like instance, on a lower level, West Ham, Areola and Fabianski, who at West Ham's level, that's two first-team goalkeepers.
Yeah.
No one complains and no one cares because the amount of money that they spent to get both of them was not the issue. Because they didn't invest that money and then say, we can't go and invest here now. Yeah, but because we've used our money and not in the wisest ways, it makes it even worse.
I hear that. No, I hear that. That's that. You landed. I get it to you landed. Because the Kev one, I was like, nah, I was still cussing. But yeah, you're right.
I had to double back and think of a new thing.
Yeah, that was last minute. Oh, yeah. You was like this. I was like, nah, still would. You like so would I? Then you went, ooh, all right, cool. I give you that one. But no, I hear that. That's a good point. Actually, we feel that's a good point, and that's a good way to end that, I think. So, is there anything you want to say to everybody watching? We actually added Instagram Live to this, which is great. It's amazing. So we've got some people on Instagram Live watching this as well. So big up to yourselves as well. Anything you want to say, Chili, before we wrap up?
No, man. Obviously, we're here again. A lot of our teams are on break. Well, my team's on a break right now. Hopefully, they come back stronger and I have something better to report to you guys. That's something better to report to you guys. But yeah, man, thanks for tuning in. OTP boys are here trying to do consistency. We'll be back again very soon. We're going to do a team of the season, a half team of the season so far, and see who's in it. So that'll be fun to do next.
Yeah, I've seen Robbie's ones. They've been awful. So as long as we get better than Robbie's, that's all right.
There are some bad shouts. But yeah, thanks for supporting. We see all the people tuned in. We see all the people that are leaving comments, consistent people that are tuned in and that I talk to. So yeah, thank you, and we see you again soon, man.
Yeah, thank you guys. Don't forget to follow us on everything: TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, subscribe, Twitter, the lot. We're not on Facebook.
Links are there, man. All the links are there.
See you guys soon.
Peace.